Good evening. Welcome to the Vermillion Local School District Board of Education meeting, regular meeting for Monday, July 16th. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Habermill.
Here.
Ms. Ennis.
Here.
Ms. Russell.
Here.
Mr. Stark.
Here.
Ms. Stepp.
Here.
All members present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 4, Superintendent's Report.
Okay, we're starting off with the one-year additional duties contract for the 18-19 contract year for the following. Kurt Habermill, VHS head basketball coach, level 43, step 4. I think that this was on last month's agenda, but we had to pull it, and so here it is again. And as always, Kurt does a great job with that. And then we've got the second one, a one-year additional duties contract for the following, for the 2017-18 year. Kara Habermill, 2017-18 instructional chaperone. Leah Ennis, instructional chaperone, level 0, step 1. Kurt Ennis, VHS head soccer coach, level 23, step 3. So same thing, I think that these were on.
All those three are 2017-18? Are they?
Not Kurt,
No.
it couldn't be.
I
No,
hope
this-
not.
Kurt Ennis would
Yeah,
be
Kurt-
18-19.
yeah, this
19
is-
a whole year later.
Yeah, this is a typo.
Right.
Kurt is current in soccer.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be 18-19, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any more questions? All right, call the roll.
Mr. Habermill.
Abstain.
Ms. Ennis.
Abstain.
Ms. Stepp.
Yes.
Mr. Stark.
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
Motion approved 3-0.
Yeah, just going back to the superintendent's report on the first item, that was not on last month's contract. It's just that we have the fall and winter sports to be on this agenda, and that's why.
What it was we originally had it on the draft for May, not June, but May.
Gotcha.
And I think you pulled it because we had asked that we start grouping seasons together and not just randomly having them on the agenda.
And that's what we've got on this
Yep.
month's agenda, is
Back in
everything
December.
grouped together. All right, item number 3 is introduction of new teachers. Tonight, we've got 3 teachers here, new in the audience, that I'd like to have come up to the mic. We're going to start with Rachel Miller, the VHS art teacher. We did a lot of interviewing over the summertime, and we worked hard to pick out the best candidates. And so they're here tonight to tell us a little bit about themselves and what their background is.
Sure. So I'm Rachel. I'm going to be the new art teacher. I went to Mount Union for my undergrad and went to Kent State for my master's. I've taught for 4 years out of state in Arkansas and in New Orleans, and then 1 year in Cleveland. And yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of the team and be in the Vermillion Sailors and whatnot. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to talk to me whenever. Is there anything else you'd like to know?
Welcome to Vermillion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations.
How'd you like the interview with the kids?
Huh?
How did you like the interview?
Oh, I loved it. That was like the most comfortable part of the interview process. It's like in my element getting to work with kids, so I enjoyed that a lot.
My daughter was really excited. to
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did she like making the clay and everything?
No, she just liked the interview.
Just, just like I want to have my say. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
We just give you a stress ball.
We didn't let the kids interview you.
These are not all of the candidates, so we'll have the rest at the next month's board agenda. But next, I'd like to have Rachel Hogue come up, and her mom is a teacher and has been here, in the system for a long time. So Rachel, if you can say a few words about your background, and you moved back into town, so that's good news.
Yes, so nice to meet everyone. My name is also Rachel. I have actually spent time at the elementary school, which is where I'll be this year, and I'm super excited to be able to work with everyone because I know people from both personal and professional views. I'm from Vermillion, went through the district, super excited to be back. I went to Notre Dame College in South Euclid for my undergrad, and I also recently got my 4th and 5th grade endorsement. So I'm just excited to be here, and I'm excited to be part of the district.
Congratulations.
And last but not least for tonight, we've got Adam Beckwith. He's from a unique set of circumstances. He's the brother of our SRO officer.
Your middle name's not Rachel, is it?
No, I'm the one who's not Rachel. I'm back with I graduated from Vermillion High School in 2007. Went on to Ashland University, and then I just finished teaching 4 years in Hawaii, and then moved back here. And I will be the assistant tennis coach. Well, missing family and stuff like that. Just couldn't move back. And I will be the assistant tennis coach for the girls tennis with Rachel Milne.
Oh, good, very good.
Yes. Is there any questions? Feel free to ask.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Vermillion.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have the other candidates come to the next meeting. Not candidates, but people for recommendation for hire. All right, next item on my report is recommend a resolution to approve a therapy service agreement with Mercy Health Regional Medical Center. I just want to say something a little bit about this particular contract. Our attorney looked this over, but we had our special ed pupil personnel director, Karen Blackburn, look this over, and she redlined it a little bit and sent it back to them because we weren't, even though our attorney was comfortable with what he had changed, we wanted some additional language on it. So tonight, they weren't able to turn this back around to us with these new red line items on it, but they assured us that what they see in it is not anything that's going to be a challenge to them. And they anticipate signing it. And what we could do is just have you approve it, but not turn it in for them, for their signature, if for some reason they're not willing to change the language. So, but I don't see any reason why they're not. I just got a text here this evening, right before the meeting, saying that they weren't able to turn it around that quick in time. We did give it to them last week, but their legal department takes them a little while. I think that actually they've got one of their legal people, their main legal person is on vacation, unfortunately. So it's not a major issue, and I think that they'll be willing to make those couple simple changes.
So Karen is the one that made the changes?
Yeah, but we had them, our attorney
Looked at those two,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it's really protecting our interests. That's what she was thinking. And then you've got the number 5 is along the same line. That's the beginning of this partnership with Mercy, and that is the school nurses service agreement. So you've got OTPT, speech therapy, and school nurses, and they're all bundled together in those two.
Does, I don't recall, I know I read through these, but the agenda does the contract state anywhere what we're paying for the service? I don't see it anywhere.
Looks like Exhibit B shows some compensation, but it doesn't give a total. It's saying, yeah, Exhibit B's compensation.
What about,
Where are you, Chris?
Yeah,
that's compensation,
it's up at the top at a rate of $58 per hour.
Okay.
And a different one.
Yeah, it's on Exhibit A, top of the page.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so there's one for A and B.
And how does that,
B says $30 an
Yeah, I think it's different.
Yeah,
They're
the
being
nurses, yeah, the nurses
Yeah,
that are
there's one for
different.
each.
At a different compensation.
Gotcha, okay. And
Which is
that's
$2
comparable or
less.
better than what we were paying?
We were paying 60.
Okay.
All services equal to what we had in the
Yes.
past?
I think that they'll work very hard to
So-
make this work.
Can we,
Yeah.
anybody have an issue if we make a motion to approve both contracts with one motion? Or do you guys want them separated for any reason? or? All right. So I'll make a motion to approve the therapy services and school nurse services contracts with Mercy Health Regional Medical Center.
A second?
Any other discussion or? Okay, call the roll, please.
Ms. Ennis,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Abstain.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Havermill.
Yes.
Motion approved 4-0. Abstention.
All right, it's not on my superintendent's report as an item, but James Williamson, who's in the audience tonight, got a call over the weekend by Roger Riachi, the main contractor for the Vermillion Elementary School job. We had the elementary school floor slated to be demolished and rebuilt, and it was supposed to start Monday. A representative from the company came out on Friday and took a look at the floor and decided to remove a few of the tile under a sink area at the north or the south end of the kitchen, the southeast end of the kitchen, not far southeast, but that's the general area that it was. And he determined by looking at that removed tile that he thinks that we have a water problem underneath the floor. And that's very debatable at this point because James and I went over to the site today and we removed the tile ourselves. And this is, I brought some of it in just so that you could take a look at it. This is the quarry tile that is there on the surface. So this is the top surface, and obviously this doesn't look like this. This is just a piece of it. It's a square. It's probably 6 by 6, 8 by 8 piece.
Yeah, I think 4 by 4 there.
Are they that small?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not very large, but then what we really have to do as our next step, now that he's made this claim, is that we've got to get the specification sheet out, because we've got to see what layers need to go next underneath the tile. It's very specific what goes into the specification sheet by the architect. If that specification wasn't specifically followed, then we've got to hold whoever is liable for that. I don't know where, maybe they all were followed, and that really is the problem, that we have a water problem underneath the floor tile.
But wasn't the issue with the tile the discoloration of the surface?
That's where it's wicking through. So this is the grout,
Yeah, it's
and
taking out.
that grout was a what's this material?
It's an epoxy grout.
So it's an unusual grout. Usually they do a sanded grout, and that's what's in the rest of the building.
Yeah.
In that particular installation, in that room, they put this. It's more of a plasticky kind of grout.
Do the
And-
epoxy grout in kitchens.
Yeah, usually, well, I guess it's debatable because this is not as porous. And that's why they would have done this kind of grout in there, because then it's not going to absorb all the grease and the dirt. And that was the thought behind it, right? That's why they would have put the epoxy grout in.
Right. And it's the same grout that's in the middle and high school kitchens as well.
And we have no issues
No
with
problems
that.
at all.
Right, no problems whatsoever. And there's no water problem in the gym, which is right adjacent to that. There's no water problem with any of the tile that's adjacent to that. There's no water problems with the carpet that's in the library. So.
That's what I'm gonna say, is there any evidence anywhere?
No,
Just
no.
the kitchen.
It's a brand-new school, where are we getting water?
Yeah, so it's not making sense, his theory so far. So Dick Deming, and I didn't get a chance to tell you this because I just spoke with Lesko at the end of the day today. Dick Deming from Lesko is their expert in the field. He's going to come out tomorrow and take a look at this. What needs to happen probably is a core sample is going to have to be taken and drilled down until they get to below the base and remove that whole core. Then look at whatever's on the spec sheet and say, okay, are all those elements in the core? If they're not, if one of those elements are missing within the core, then we can trace back where the problem is and say, okay, was it omitted out of the spec or was it omitted out of the job? And who can we go after for this? Someone's going to have to be responsible for it. And the worst case scenario is, though, that we do have a problem with water underneath the surface of it. But technically, we shouldn't have that either, because before they did the digging, they had to hit bedrock and they had to take a test of that
I
soil.
remember that, yeah.
So technically, that should not exist either. So.
Why are they saying there's a water problem?
Because that's what this guy that came in, this guy
Yeah, no,
that
I
came in.
understand that, but like, what is the, like, why are they saying this is happening because of, what are they saying is causing?
It's wicking
Soaking
up
up through the-
underneath the grout,
Oh, they're
and it's
soaking.
pushing the material, they say, up out of the grout.
So-
It's odd, because
Yeah.
no one's ever seen anything like this. They submitted samples, two samples already, to two independent places, or one was an independent place, one was on, where was the other one?
The other one was the manufacturer. The manufacturer of the grout itself did a test.
Okay, and it came back inconclusive,
Right.
correct?
And the same thing with Rogers Independent Testing Company.
Okay,
Right.
So is this gonna hold up the demo and install?
looks like it.
Yeah. They were set to demo today, and he canceled that on Friday when this guy came out. He popped up 6 tiles, and there was moisture under the tiles. And
There
that-
was?
Yes. And that caused him to cancel the demo.
Where he popped up the tile, though, we're not happy about that because they popped it up right underneath the sink. And that's where a lot of moisture is going to be by the sheer location of it. And I get that we haven't been using that sink for a while, but moisture could get trapped underneath that area for, who knows? So it wasn't a good sample location, I don't think, and that's why we moved over to another area, popped up the tile. If you take a look at this piece right here, it's the layer below the tile, so this was sitting like this. Actually, it was sitting the other way. And so this is dried out. This was a darker color. So there is some moisture there, but I don't know if that maybe was a flaw of what this is. That might be the, what do you call that?
The moisture barrier.
Yeah, this product might be a moisture barrier. We don't know. This might not be the concrete that is in between the moisture barrier and the concrete, and that's what we hope and think the specs are calling for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably more information that you ever wanted to know about tile. That's okay.
And we had this problem like right after installation,
We've been working
and
on this
before
for a
they,
while.
before we put
Since
any
the school first opened, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was almost
it's
right
had this
away.
film on it.
and areas. of-
And it's not so much the tile,
Back
Chris,
up.
just to be clear on that, it's wicking up from the grout in between the tile, but then from people walking over those areas, it's putting it onto the tile. It's not actually coming up from the
How
tile.
do we know that?
I mean, because you can see it in those areas where nobody's walking, you can see that where it's wicking up, and it's almost like a gummy material that pops up in between those tiles. And then you can see where there's
So it's
traffic,
drug.
people are walking through it, then it's moving to the tiles. But you can clean the tiles.
So you wouldn't think that the tile itself is contaminated?
No, I mean, I don't, but, I mean, we'll have to get it tested. but
So this
I don't
can
think
clean
it'll
off?
be a problem. Yeah.
No, It's not coming off.
The tile, you can take Comet and get the tile clean, but you can't get rid of that gummy substance that's coming up from
And
the.
it's probably just gonna
from
keep
the ground.
happening with that grout,
It
even if
does,
you got
yeah.
it to go away. it just
Right.
keep-
Well, and the
keep
problem
coming
is
back.
they've ripped up an area, I don't know, last summer, I think they replaced a dozen tiles or so and put in a different grout. And we have the same problem come up through that grout.
Oh.
So, yeah, it almost seems like there could be a moisture problem, but that said, every lift that they put in after digging down to the bedrock was tested by our testing agency and approved throughout construction. So, I mean, really, no one is, now they think there's a moisture problem, but they have no idea how to fix that problem or how that problem started in the first place, which we're gonna have to get a testing agency out to help us figure out how that's happening. Because the well that was on the property is far away from the kitchen area, and that was obviously filled in with concrete during construction. So that's not a factor. So, yeah, everybody's just kind of completely unsure of this problem. It's the first time anybody's ever seen it in their careers, so.
Lucky us.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
And unfortunately, it makes the kitchen look like it's
Oh, it's terrible, yeah.
100 years old. It's a brand new kitchen. So we'll keep at it, and
Yeah, keep us posted.
that's all I have then under superintendent's report.
Okay, item B, the treasurer's report.
Recommend a resolution to approve the financial records for month ending June 30th, 2018.
I'll second.
Put the last 3 months on here in the fiscal year end total. April, $17,500 in interest. In May, $22,340 in interest. And in June, US Bank, our meter investment account there, had a negative $7,800. So our total for June is $602, bringing us for the fiscal year 18 to a total of $200,830.48 in interest earned through our accounts. Also on the right-hand side there, I left the totals. You can see US Bank typically has performed pretty well, earning $120,000 for the year. But those are our interest investment accounts. You received this portion on in one of your packets. I just wanted to go over it again. Below is a comparison to what we submitted to ODE as our May forecast, and I wanted to compare that to where we completed the fiscal year 18. The couple highlights here: total revenues. May forecast was $24.184 million is what we were forecasting. We finished off at $24.319 million, which is a difference of $134,000, which is 0.56% difference. Total expenditures, line 5.050. We were anticipating expenditures of $27,708,575. We spent $23,667,872. That is a difference of $40,703, or 0.17%. So we were pretty close with both of our revenues and our expenditures here. The good news being, line 6.010, we were expecting to finish the year in May with a positive revenue over expenditure of $475,000. We finished the year with $651,000, so that just added to our cash. Our ending cash balance, we were anticipating $14.5 million, and this year we ended with $14.679 million. So a little bit more money by 1.21% compared to the May forecast. I know, good news, right? Going over again, just by fund, taking a look at the general fund by month, snapshot of the whole year that you have in front of you here, comparing fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 17. Through the fiscal year, the district and the general fund received $24.3 million compared to last year at this time of $23.9. So in fiscal year 18, we received $382,000 more in revenue than the previous year. Again, $382,000, it could have been just a little bit higher. We did have an increase in the opportunity grant, $10 per student. We did collect a little bit higher percentage from delinquent taxes, and we had a couple other businesses come in too. So that's where you're seeing the revenue. Looking at our food service funds throughout the whole year, we received $626,000 in revenue compared to $657,000 last year at this time. So again, we're off a little bit on the revenue side there on the food service. Looking at the revenue for all funds, we received $26.6 million this year compared to $27.1 million last year. All funds are off a little bit. Primarily, we lost a little bit of revenue on the federal stuff. They're changing the way ODE needs to calculate the amount of money that we receive for Title I, Title II, and we lost a little bit of money, or revenue, I should say, from the federal government there. And we're going to continue to see a little bit, around $90,000 less this next coming year. Looking on the expenditure side, we expended $23.58 million this year compared to last year of $23.8 million. Again, we brought in more revenue than we did this time last year. We brought in more revenue in fiscal year 18 than we did in 17, and we spent $307,000 less in fiscal year 18 than we did in fiscal year 17. So when you add the two up, there's an extra $900,000 or so that we were able to do better this year than we were last year. Looking at food service, pretty fairly consistent here. This year we spent $615,000 in food service compared to $608,000 last year. And when we look at all funds, again, you can see that almost $1 million. We spent $25.9 million this year compared to $26.8 last year. And then looking at the cash, this year we finished the year with $14.6 million in general fund cash compared to $14.0 last year, which is a difference of $651,000 additional cash this year than we had last year. Looking at cash on the food service side, this year we finished with just under $300,000 in cash compared to last year at $264,000. So even though our revenue and expenditures were a little bit different, we do have more cash in that account this year than we did last year. And looking at all funds, we have $18.136 million in cash compared to this time last year at $17.565 million. So all in all, this year was better off financially than it was last year.
All right. Any other questions? Call roll then.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Habermill,
Yes.
Ms. Ennis.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Next, recommend a resolution to proceed with placing a .68 mils school safety and security levy on the November ballot.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a second.
Which one?
Sarah.
Does not matter.
Sarah.
It's Steph. All right. Attachment D you have in front of you. This is what I will be submitting to the County Board of Election tomorrow. Most importantly here, it's going to be the middle section here. A resolution submitting to the electors of the school district the question of an additional .68 mil tax levy for the purpose of providing for school safety and security pursuant to section 5705.21 of the Ohio Revised Code. I worked with the county. We went through here, came up with the millers. They wouldn't let me go to the hundreds, so this levy will generate $301,594.
Sounds good. I'll move, or we already did that, right?
Do we know, just to put it so the average person knows, how much will this cost them? You know, they always say if your house is $100,000.
Yeah, they've gone away from that. What they end up saying now, in a lot of the ballot language, is for every $100 of assessed property value, it'll be 10 cents.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, because what happens is when they used to use that $100,000 for an average home, you know, $100,000 is the value of the home, it's not the assessed value of it. And then trying to find an average home, you know, here our average house isn't $100,000. And so it was tricky to try and figure that out also.
Okay.
But on average, I think I did the average. I think it's around $8 or something like that. I want to say. I can get you
$8 per 100,000 of assessed value?
about that. Yeah. Let me.
Just because
Don't quote me on that, but I
No,
can
that's
get you.
fine.
I can get you real numbers for that stuff and recalculate that for you, depending on how you want it. If you want it per $100,000 or
Just if someone were to ask me, how much is that gonna cost me?
yeah.
Like, I don't know. You know, I mean, if we're raising this much, I'd like to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
How much is school safety worth to you?
well,
That's true.
Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
a concern, but
But you're right, people will want to know.
They're gonna want
they
to.
all want
What
to
are
know
they-
where
what
he's
is-
going.
That's right, what are you
Yeah.
signing up for?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and also I'll do for that then, I guess the easiest way to explain it is, I'll take the 301,500 that it's gonna generate and divide that by the number of housing units, and then I'll tell you the average of what it's gonna cost everybody.
Yeah,
Will that work?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Any additional questions?
No, call the roll, please.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Habermill,
Yes.
Ms. Ennis,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to approve the purchase for social studies grades 4 through 7 electronic and hard copy versions from Pearson. It's a 6-year license at the cost of $40,648.67.
I'll move.
Second.
Anyone have any questions? You good? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Ennis,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Habermill.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to approve the 2018-19 contract with Northern Buckeye Education Council for hosted virtual servers and the registration gateway and DocuShare.
I'll move.
I'll second.
What exactly is this one?
This one is,
Technical services.
yeah, I think it's just where we, I believe this is where we store, instead of our A site being on this site, we have a separate A site. They house all of our servers and everything else out there.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything else? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Habermill,
Yes.
Ms. Ennis.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to approve the 2018 through 2021 contract from Century Safe for $22,205.50.
I'll move.
A second.
So this is just our web filtering. And yet this is just, it's actually through, Lightspeed is the name of it.
Yep.
And in there, it lists everything that they do here for our databases and for our servers.
This is a 3-year contract.
Correct.
Anything else? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Habermill,
Yes.
Ms. Ennis,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to accept the following donations for Vermillion High School speech and debate. It's $30 from Ron and Lou and Hausch, and $50 from Ruth Bauer in honor of Diane Mosley's 90th birthday party.
I'll move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Innes,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Hebner.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to approve the contract for Cleveland Clinic Sports Health from July 20th, 2018 through July 29th, 2019.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Hebner,
Yes.
Ms. Innes.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to approve the Apple lease agreement and the buyback quote from Diamond Assets. So our buyback quote from Diamond Assets is going to be a guaranteed value of $78,750, but they're anticipating to be $112,500 to buy back all of our Apple assets there, our iPads. And then, once they buy them back, Exhibit A on here is the contract for new iPads. 0% interest rate over the course of 3 years at $152,000 a year for a total of $456,000. Which again will be offset slightly by the $112,000. It'll be a little closer to $336,000 or so.
So again, these are the oldest ones
Yes.
of 2012.
That they're buying back newer ones.
They're gonna buy them back and we're gonna get newer ones, correct?
How has the condition been of them coming back in? Are they, because I see this sort of graded, like a deduction.
Yeah, they're, I would probably put them in the C's, the majority of them. These are the 2011 model MacBook Airs that were purchased in summer of 2012.
Okay.
So they've gone through 4 years of our one-to-one and then 2 additional years of elementary.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
we
phenomenal.
stretched it
Yeah.
further than we
That's
anticipated.
really good.
Better than what they do.
At home, for sure.
We were going to do this last year, and actually the buyback was less last year than what they gave us now by going another year.
If it's silver and has an apple on it, it retains value.
That's good to know.
You have to move, motion in second.
I'll move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
Ms. Innes,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Recommend a resolution to authorize the treasurer to advance from the general fund to the following federal funds in the amount of $79,859.06. We need that in motion.
I'll move.
Second.
What this is, the federal schedule goes from September to September, and our fiscal year goes from June to July. So we have to advance money July, August, a little bit of September before the federal schedule kicks in and we can start seeking reimbursement for those things. However, I have to close the books with the federal schedule being zero in order for me to do that, because I can't advance all that money or I can't reimburse those yet, because we're still going to be paying salaries through those July, August, September. I need to forward the federal funds, Fund 516, 572, and 587, those dollar amounts shown there. Once I authorize that, or once you authorize that, and I advance that money, then I'll reimburse it throughout the month of July, August, and September. So it'll be a zero transfer. It's just to close the books out, you have to do it this way.
Call the roll.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Hebner,
Yes.
Ms. Innes.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Item 10, items for discussion. Appointment of a representative for the Tax Incentive Review Council for Erie Regional Planning Commission. Is this something we've ever done in the past?
I don't remember.
This is something that they request every year to appoint somebody for the Tax Incentive Review Council that moves for Erie County, or for Erie County, sorry. It's just a simple appointment, and you can find out what's going on with the Tax Incentive Review for Erie County.
Awesome. It's just funny because I don't
remember.
6 years on the board, I don't remember ever talking about this, but would anybody like to volunteer to be part of the Tax Incentive Review Committee?
What's it involved then?
Probably get a tax break out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I'll cut you.
sort of stipend with this.
I'm not really too sure. I don't have much information on this. But ultimately, they just sent over, the Erie County Auditor sent over an email to everybody asking to submit this to your Board of Education. As far as the details go, I don't have too many details for what all this entails and how all this works. Yeah, I can look into all of that. And
Before I say yes, I'd like to know.
Yeah.
what's all
Yeah.
about.
well, I was just going to be quiet and see if anybody did it. You know?
Is there like, depends on what day of the week it's on.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how frequently they meet, but I'm sure it's. I'm sure it's very similar to the.
It's addressed to Chris Habermill. so-
Yeah.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice that.
Pass that off. Yeah.
I'm sure it's very similar to what I do with the LERC. All the school districts are invited, and they just need to have enough to have a quorum. This is essentially what it is. So I'm sure all the school districts in all the cities in
Right.
Erie County have been invited to this, and they truly just need enough people at those meetings to develop a quorum. But I can look up real fast to see when the meetings are.
Volunteer needs to be.
Well, even if you don't find anything right away, maybe we can contact this guy and just get a few questions. You don't necessarily,
I know this isn't time sensitive.
we can get a volunteer outside this meeting too. That's something we have to vote on.
Yeah,
True.
I'd like to, just a little bit
Or,
more
you know,
information before I say yes.
Like, is it something like you could do one and I could do the next one? You know, we could kind of rotate.
If we're just looking for warm bodies, yeah.
That's what I think it is here, because, yeah, there's not too much information. Most of it's for New York.
Oh, I'll go to New York.
You want to go to New York?
Chris, do you want me to call?
Do you mind?
No.
All right, thanks.
I found
That right there.
Take this PDF right now. Share some information here.
Who's name to that? Because I've never remember.
It says it once a year, the Texas Incentive Review meets.
Oh, really?
Is that- I mean, that's in the letter here. Once a year, the Texas Incentive Review meets to review approved Texas
Oh,
Incentive
the
agreements.
first sentence.
Yeah.
Did you format all these papers?
Very first one.
All right, I'll tell you what, it's once a year, I'll volunteer. I can,
Then we're gonna find Fred.
you all right?
It's a 12-hour meeting. Once a year.
The guy doesn't have an email address on here, does he?
Fax and phone number calls.
I'll stop calling and just say,
All right.
explain what's about.
Give him a call, let me know. I don't mind volunteering for it one time. It's in a separate packet, it's not in that packet, it's that right there.
Yeah.
All right, can we move to the next item? The defense soap. Maybe I'll just read through this letter. or-
Sure.
Okay, Defense Soap is currently located in Lakewood. Guy Seiko, owner, intends to build a receiving and distribution center. They distribute and wholesale soap products for athletics, the medical industry, and the military. Currently, 6 employees work for Defense Soap in the distribution operation. The purpose of Defense Soap's relocation is to consolidate its current multiple locations into one and position for expansion. The company has plans to bring the California operation with additional building and employment to this site within the next 4 years. Also, Guy Seiko is an enthusiastic wrestling coach at Powerhouse St. Ed's. There will be mats at his proposed facility. Who knows what opportunities there may be for VHS. Jim Schoen is trying to get Guy interested in Rotary. This is a letter from the mayor,
Is this
Mayor
what they-
Forthover.
On German's property? Isn't that
Is that where,
Is that
That's
where
where
it
it
is?
is.
I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
Is it?
German
It
Village
is.
property?
It's the vacant property that he had
Yeah.
adjacent to his catering.
East or
Okay.
west?
East?
pass?
Yeah.
And it's to the,
It'd probably be to the west.
West.
wouldn't it?
West.
West,
West.
west, west of it, yeah.
West.
West, yeah.
It's a wooded lot right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, it's a discussion item, I see that.
How long is the abatement for?
What are they, it
What are they
doesn't
asking?
detail anything in here, do we know what they're asking for?
usually it's a
It
10-year.
was a
abatement.
10-year abatement. I believe it was a 10-year abatement. It's 75% if I remember correctly. And I think it was, what was it, $800,000 or so was the involved there. So, it was more of just a notice. I mean, we don't have we don't have
Say.
a say one way or other
Yeah.
whether the economic development for the city is going to offer tax abatements or not, but it was just to notify you.
Okay.
But you're gonna not get as much money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, any business in town is good, I think, for the most part.
Long run should be.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Okay, the other note is in the packet here, it's not in the discussion items, but there's quite a few thank you letters from students who receive scholarships, so it's good to see kids taking the time to write a thank you. Item 11 is the consent agenda. The superintendent and the treasurer recommend that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items. Action by the Board of Education in adoption of the consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one single motion unless a member of the board, the treasurer, or the superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately. Item 6, I'm not sure what happened to items 1 through 5, but item 6, minutes of the June 4th and June 27th, 2018 board meetings. Item 7, approve student fees for 2018 and 19, attachment K. Item 8, approve the VHS student handbook for 2018 and 19. 9, approve the updated 2018-19 calendar as previously viewed. Item 10, approve breakfast and lunch prices for the 2018-19 school year. Vermillion Elementary, breakfast $1.60, lunch $2.50. Sailor Way and Vermillion High School, breakfast $1.60, lunch $2.60. 11, recommend a resolution to approve the July 2018 through June 2020 interagency agreement to provide Head Start, Help Me Grow, Erie County Board of Development Disabilities, attachment N. Item 12, approve the following employment actions as listed in the consent agenda, and there are quite a few. And that is the consent agenda. So are there any items that anyone would like to see removed from the consent? Okay, we get a motion?
We need one.
I'll move.
That's second.
There you go. I should have motioned before I asked for items, but, okay. Call the roll then.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Habermill,
Yes.
Ms. Ennis,
Yes.
Ms. Stepp,
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Public participation. Anyone in the audience that hasn't spoke already or would like to speak again? Okay, thank you. Date and location, I'm not going to call it item 7 because we're well beyond item 7. Date and location of upcoming board meetings. We have a regular meeting on Monday, August 13th, a regular meeting on Monday, September 10th, and a regular meeting on Monday, October 8th. Sound good? As far as we know, no special meetings in between there right now. Okay. Item 8, recommend a resolution to move into executive session for the purpose of employment or public or compensation of public employees.
That's second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Stark,
Yes.
Mr. Haggerty,
Yes.
Ms. Ennis,
Yes.
Ms. Step.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.